The real fight begins now.
Right!
Hey yo, what up, what up, what up? So it's finally here, the last DLC for Season Pass 2. Many people were excited about it, some people were standoffish, and some were skeptical just about this DLC to see exactly if it was good, if it was bad, if it was actually worth it, but it's finally here. And with that being said, let's dive in. As the game opens up and it gives you the end of Z world, you're really excited, right? You want to see what's different and what's changed, the improvements that they've made. And at this point, man, there should be a lot of things in here that are just great, and they're not. For my first time playing it, I can honestly say that this game or this DLC was just boring. From End of Z Goku, from your battle with Goten, from the choice of playable characters, to an extremely short story. But one of my biggest disappointments was End of Z Goku. This guy should have been the be-all, end-all of Gokus. But I felt like when we started off playing with him, he was simply just no better than it was starting off with Raditz. He didn't have any really good skills. There was nothing great about him apart from the fact that he had a different outfit. No moves really stood out. He should have been OP'd and should have been GOAT at this moment, and it just felt like you were starting all over with him. I asked Bandai Namco in one of my videos, do not mess this up. Many people love this Goku, and I have to say it, when you first start off with him, even to the end, man, Goku is trash. The one that's in the main story is way better than the one that's at the end of Z. And this is the greatest Goku of them all. It was just a complete letdown for me. One thing you'll notice about this Goku is that when it comes down to his skill tree, he doesn't really have anything. This Goku doesn't seem like a new Goku at all, but just seem like he's simply recycled. Now moving on to Goten. When the video was released alongside the announcement trailer a week ago or so, I honestly thought that video was a mod. No way Goku versus Goten was going to be that bad, and that's what they were going to give to us. But they did, and that was very disappointing. Now, fighting Goten as more of like a boss character, his moves were okay for Goten. You know, he didn't really train and things of that sort, and that was fine. But I was more so focused on Goku. I was more so focused on the area that they were fighting in and how this big red circle just surrounded the area. That's something that pulls us out from the combat and the imagination of being in the Dragon Ball world. These are things they had more than enough time to work on, to improve on, and they just simply didn't. So the same way that Goten is tired, that's exactly how I felt playing this DLC when it came down to him. Now, another thing I have to rage about is playable characters. Out of all the choices in which they had, man, they just completely failed at it. From Krillin to Piccolo to Gohan to Vegeta to Trunks to Goten, even Bulma. They could have given us Oob as a playable character. Many people thought he would have been the second playable character, but it wasn't. The choice they went with was Pan. You chose to go with Pan out of everyone else. And it's not the fact that Pan truly sucked, because I love her little wind bullet thing that she threw for Ki Blast. That was actually dope, but playing with her was just boring. And the reason why is because she didn't really have any type of versatility to herself. It was just the same old combos over and over again, and then she was slow. I didn't really find that interesting, even though I knew in one of my previous videos, all of the evidence lined up to Pan being the second playable character. This was not what we wanted, but this is what they gave us. Now on to the ever so light story mode. This right here, on a cutscene level, it was amazing, right? Like, they were really banging and throwing down, but in the actual fight, it was nothing like this. Like, there was a couple of moments where you were fighting against Oob, which I thought were pretty good and could have been highlights, but it just didn't last long as anything. If you start the story mode from the beginning, skip all the submissions and go straight to the end, you'll be done in less than an hour, I would probably say. Not even a speed run, it's just that short. That was something that was also disappointing as well. Now, because the main story was really short, they gave us a second story, A Tale of Two Saiyans. And the interesting thing about that is the fact that you don't even get to play with other Saiyans. It's just Goku. So if it's a tale of two Saiyans, it should have at least been Goku and Vegeta that was playable, but all you got was Goku, which was another disappointment. Now, to switch things up and speak positively for one moment, I can at least say this. We might not have got the end of Z Goku that we wanted, but we did get the end of Z Vegeta that we wanted. This fight right here was the fight to settle all fights, and I absolutely loved it. Even how it ended, I'm not really going to spoil it for those who haven't played it, but it was amazing, man. It was extremely hype. Vegeta was extremely difficult if you went from just, you know, the end of one story to the beginning of the next story without doing side missions and training and this, that, and the other. He'll give you a bang for your buck. This is how the battle with Oob should have went. This is how the battle with Frieza should have went. This is how the battle with many people should have been, where it was just challenging and it pushed people to try to figure out different strategies and conquer whatever the challenges may have been. The only true downside to this extra story was the simple fact that you never got to play with Vegeta. You never got to train with him. You didn't get to play the opposite end with him going against Goku to see just how well Goku had advanced. So all the new skills in which he had acquired, and see how the AI would use them to, you know, make combinations and to bring a challenge in the fight. Now on to the post game, which deals with exploring and submissions. And also I was interested to check out the environment and just to see what they've done and things that have changed from the end of Buu Saga to the end of Z. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there wasn't much of a change there. The terrain basically looks the same. Goku House did move from down closer to the water up to a hill where he's kind of expanded a bit much. But other than that, it was kind of all the same. So I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting a bit more given the fact that there was a 10-year gap, and seeing that nothing really changed over the 10 years was disappointing. But nonetheless, man, I do still enjoy going around the world with the slight changes that they did make. Now going out and further exploring, you run into the basic things as far as like dino hunting, which is like, you know, mini games they've thrown in there. And you got other things as far as like, you know, hunting pterodactyls in the sky for like meat and things like that for recipes. I always enjoyed those, especially on the PS5 with the colors that pop. But searching and looking for people who will give you, you know, special items, as far as the gentleman we just passed, or Piccolo here who speaks about Gohan and lacking on his training, and he gives you something to help, you know, boost you during your training. Or just finding farmers, you know, kind of far out in the middle of nowhere, right? These are things that are still there post game if you guys desire to, you know, search for them. Now moving on to sub stories, this one I will probably say is actually pretty balanced. It's okay. Now it isn't anything great or grand. You're not going to really fight any of them where it's like, look, this is amazing. But I can at least say for this one right here, the one that are called over 9,000 memories. So what it actually gives you is you go around the same way you did in the original Z story, and you find these photos of memories of Goku, but instead of it being from Dragon Ball, it's actually from Dragon Ball Z. And if you find the ones that are red, you were able to fight certain characters, like I'm fighting Nappa right here because it was red and the memory brought me back to a battle. The ones that are clear would just show pictures and will have subtitles below them, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And it even says that if you collect all of them, something special might happen. Now I've collected all of them and nothing special has happened as of yet, but maybe I have to finish a couple more sub-story missions or exploring to be able to see exactly what that is. Now as far as the world map, this gives us a look as far as what we have and where we can venture off into an end of Z. And everything here is basically the same, right? Nothing is really truly different from the things we've experienced in the main Z game. But there are some things that are missing, like the area where we fought Majin Buu, or Kami's Lookout and Korin, the land of Korin, and the area of the Cell games and the Glacier area. Other than that, everything is still the same. And that brings us to the end of the review of this DLC. With the expectations being high for it and being completely let down, it's not a DLC that I can truly recommend to anyone. I mean, if you just want to experience it and have the few takeaway things, which I did mention, which was the transcending Kamehameha wave, or the Dragon Flash, which basically is like instant transmission behind another opponent, those were good takeaways to actually take back to the main game. That I could recommend. But as far as paying $14 for what they gave us in here, it was just too disappointing. So I can't suggest, I can't recommend or anything for this DLC. They should have done better. They knew people were really expecting a lot from this DLC, being the last one that we were going to receive from Season Pass 2, and they just didn't deliver. So with that being said, this is Oh No, Not Another Reviewer. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And as always, drop your comments down below. I love to chop it up with you guys. And with that being said, I'm out.